Legal advice for the UK. We're only giving basic legal advice. It's vital that you go away and do your own research about the things that are important to you and about your own specific circumstances. It's also important to be aware that the police may change tactics and strategy at any time. They are unpredictable and there is a lot of uncertainty over how they will act. This video is about arrests and interactions with the police. It will cover how to prepare for arrest, the build-up to an arrest, the arrest itself, what happens at the police station, what happens afterwards, the consequences of a conviction for different people, Section 14, Stop and Search. A few things to prepare. If you are considering risking arrest, it is advisable that you do not bring any illegal drugs or knives. Do not bring your mobile phone. Instead, bring a spare burner phone with nothing stored on it, or give your phone to a buddy to look after during the action. This is because the police may be able to get information from your phone if it is unlocked, and also because they may choose to keep it as evidence for a long period of time. Bring a book to read. The police station staff will probably let you have it in your cell. If you have medication, bring it with you in its original box along with a paper copy of the prescription. If you do not have the paper prescription, you will probably still be allowed to take your medication, but it's not guaranteed. Bring warm clothing for the police cell. They are usually cold. Get hold of a bust card and choose one of the solicitors on there. More on this later. Bring plenty of money in case you are released in the middle of the night and need to get a taxi. The build-up to the arrest. It is likely that the first police officers that will come to the scene are police liaison officers who wear a light blue top. They are specially trained to be friendly and chatty, and they will try and get you talking in the hope that you will give away some information about the action, yourself, or the people around you. They may then be followed by arresting officers who will also try to talk to you. Rule 1. No comment. It is safest to completely avoid conversation with any kind of police officer. So if a police officer asks you a question, simply remain silent or say no comment. You are not legally required to answer any of their questions at any time. Rule 2. No personal details. Before, during and after the arrest, the police officers will try and find out who you are. You are not legally required to give them any information about yourself until you arrive at the police station. Rule 3. No paperwork. As part of giving you a warning, the police officer may try to give you some paperwork. Accepting the paperwork means you are acknowledging the warning, so do not accept it. Rule 4. Under what power? If a police officer tells you to do something, you have the right to ask them, under what power? They must then be able to quote a specific law to you. If they cannot quote a law, then you do not need to follow their instructions. This is optional, but it is useful to remember that you have this right. A police officer will probably give you a warning before arresting you. Sometimes, a police liaison person will have found out in advance what warning process the police are going to use and will have passed this information on to you. If you are given a warning, you may decide to leave. That's fine, it's completely your choice. The police may be recording you the whole time on their body cams. The arrest itself. If you decide to continue to break the law, the police officer will then arrest you. Look out for a legal observer or person doing arrest watch training who will be looking to take down your details so that someone can support you throughout the rest of the process. Your arrest will probably be recorded by the police on their body cams. You can choose to just walk, or you can lie down and let the police carry you to the police van. There will be a lot of waiting around, either at the side of the road, or in the van, or both. Ask your arresting officer which police station you're going to, so that the legal observer or arrest watch person can arrange for someone to go there to support you when you are released. You will then be driven to a police station. Your arresting officer will stay with you all of this time and will accompany you to the police station. At the police station. There will be a lot of waiting around at the police station because they have to process people one at a time. Your arresting officer will search you and your belongings and then hand you over to the duty sergeant. Your belongings will go into an evidence bag and will be returned to you on your release. Make sure that you ask to take your book in with you before they put it in the evidence bag. The duty sergeant will ask you lots of questions. You should give your name, date of birth, address, nationality, and visa status. The other questions are optional and you do not have to answer them. You will be asked if you have mental health issues. If you answer yes, you will be checked on more regularly and they will leave your lights on brighter. It is up to you how you answer this. Someone will take your DNA, fingerprints and a photo. You will then be put into a very basic cell on your own with a toilet and a raised bench that you can lie on. In the cell, you have the right to regular meals, blankets and hot drinks. You also have the right to be allowed to wash and may be able to get warm clothing. Read the leaflet that they give you carefully so you are aware of your rights. You have the right to speak to a solicitor whilst in the police station. This is free of charge. Extinction Rebellion has a list of recommended solicitors which you can find on your bust card. Rule 5. No duty solicitor. They will offer you the duty solicitor, the person that works in the police station, because that's easier for them. The duty solicitor will just try and process you as quickly as possible and is not necessarily trained in protest law. It is much better to choose one of the recommended solicitors. You will probably speak to your solicitor on the phone. If the police choose to interview you, your solicitor may come in person to the police station to accompany you into the interview. Do not attend the police interview until you have spoken to your solicitor. Rule 6. No caution. The police may offer to release you with a caution, which is like an admission of guilt. This will go on your record and stay with you for many years or even forever, and in return, no further action is taken against you. On the other hand, you may be released without charge, your charges may be dropped, or you may be found not guilty. We recommend that you do not accept the caution. If you are unsure, speak to your solicitor before making a decision. You can be kept in the police station for a maximum of 24 hours. Summary. 1. No comment. 2. No personal details until you get to the duty sergeant. 3. No paperwork. 4. Under what power? 5. No duty solicitor. 6. No caution. What happens afterwards? You will either be released with no charge, under investigation, or with a charge. If you are released under investigation, they have a specified amount of time to decide whether or not to charge you, and they will write to you if they decide to charge you. If you are released with a charge, you will be given a court date and possibly released under bail conditions. You will first attend a hearing where you choose whether to plead guilty or not guilty. You can change a not guilty plea into a guilty one easily, but the other way round is harder. If you plead guilty, your sentence will be decided there and then. If you plead not guilty, you will then have to attend a trial. You will often be at a hearing or trial with other people arrested under similar circumstances. You can choose to use a solicitor or to self-represent. If you are found guilty, you will have to pay your solicitor's fees, your travel costs, your court costs, and possibly a fine. If you qualify for legal aid, the solicitor's fees and travel costs will be covered, but you will still need to pay your own court costs and fines. There are various crowdfunders which may be able to help with your solicitor's fees and court costs. The consequences of a conviction for different people. A conviction could be problematic if you work in a job where DBS checks are needed, you are trying to get insurance or a mortgage, you are applying to education, you want to travel on a visa, for example to the US, you are not a UK resident, you are trying to gain UK citizenship. If any of this applies to you, you need to do your own research and decide whether this is the right thing for you. Section 14. The police have used Section 14s in previous Extinction Rebellion protests. Section 14 of the Public Order Act 1986 can be used by the police for static protests. It gives a senior police officer the power to impose conditions on the protest if they believe that the protest will cause serious disruption to communities or damage to property. Examples of conditions imposed in the past include asking protesters to stop protesting in one area and move to another specified location. If protesters do not comply with the conditions, for example, they do not move to the specified location, they can be arrested under Section 14 of the Public Order Act, which has higher consequences than obstruction of the highway. Police must make you aware of the conditions before they can arrest you under Section 14. They may make an announcement, use visual displays or leaflets, which you can refuse to accept, or tell you individually, which they can video on their body cameras. It is important not to pass on information about Section 14 conditions to other protesters, as this is doing the police's job for them and allows them to arrest other people who will now be aware of the conditions. If you do not want to be arrested and have been informed of the Section 14, you should leave immediately. Section 12 is similar, but applies to marches rather than static protests. Stop and search. A police officer can stop and question you, but you don't have to answer and are advised to say no comment. Unless granted blanket search power, a police officer can only search you if they have reasonable suspicion that you are carrying something illegal or likely to be used to commit an offence. The police officer must specify before the search who they are, where they are from, what they are looking for, and why they suspect you. The police officer can only ask you to take off your coat, jacket, and gloves if they are of the same gender as you and take you out of public view. You have the right to a written receipt for a search and are advised to ask for one.